Hi, puppies. Hi, Bitch. Oh, hi, Zipper. Welcome back to Little Paws Homestead. If you've joined us in the past 6 weeks, you may not actually know who I am. My name is Steph, and I'm the person who kind of instigated all of this homestead stuff. But in December, I work another job at night in addition to my part-time day job. So that left me working 7 days a week and not really around for too much farm things going on. So Scott picked up a lot of the slack during that, which is why he was the one in all of our videos for the past 6 weeks or so. As you can see, I'll wait for this truck to go by. As you can see behind me, we are actually in winter mode now. It took a while to show up, but it's here, at least for the next few days. So we have snow on the ground, and we got a lot of it all at once on Saturday. When I came out this morning, I even saw some paw prints. So we had what looks to be either bunnies or kitties or possibly both kind of all over the yard. And I always like finding these kind of paw prints to figure out what's hanging around and to decide what we're going to do to protect the garden from next year, because clearly we have bunnies, so we're going to have to deal with that. So since it has warmed up a bit, it was like minus 19 this morning and fairly windy, but now it's only, I think, minus 5 or minus 8, so comparatively it feels pretty warm. And I thought we would come out and show you all what we're going to hopefully be able to do. You guys are very loud today. I have the ducks behind me and they're being a little bit loud. They seem to enjoy the fact that it's not super snowy anymore, or at least not super snowing. But I thought we would talk about all the different things we were going to do on the farm yard side of our property. So we'll start over here by the ducks, and well, let's not fly. So this part of our yard is where our yard starts to slope, and it continues to slope. It continues to slope all the way down into the dog yard. So this part of our yard is, as you can see, pretty sunny, but there is this big tree. Actually, there's 3 of them. They're huge, and they're kind of over where we would be planting. So we're going to put some raised beds here that will be for primarily like our potatoes and root vegetables. One of the things we are going to try is doing a raised bed out of this pool that we have. So our friend gave us this pool for the ducks, but it's really, really wide, and so it's kind of hard when these guys are using it and they get it super messy every single day. It's a little bit hard to be dumping it all the time. So we're going to look for a slightly narrower one for the ducks, and then use that one for some raised beds, along with some other kind of makeshift raised beds, so that we can just fill them with soil and be on our way. So that will be this whole kind of area down here. Next to our duck pen, we have these 3 giant trees. And in between the duck pen and the fence, we're looking at doing some mushroom logs, because they'll be fairly shaded in this area and we can't really do much else with that space. So we thought it would be a good place to have mushrooms growing. So next I figured we would talk about the ducks, and so I came into the duck pen and they've all left. So they've all decided to go in here. So they're not super thrilled about the fact that I'm out here with them. But all of that bedding will be great compost and organic material that we're going to add to the garden. So I'm super excited, because I might not be able to do it because I think it's frozen, but yeah, it's all frozen. But everything under this top layer is breaking down really, really nicely. So behind me is the edge, so right here-ish, that's the edge of our duck, or sorry, not our duck, our quail coop. where our silkies also live. So that will be staying where it is, but we are going to take the edge of the duck pen and move it down about 10 feet. So it's going to go, so this is all going to extend 10 feet down, and then we're just going to hook it up to the side of the deck. So the quail enclosure will be kind of within the duck enclosure. And then in this corner here, because we are going to have a fence that goes from that T-post that you see, will go from this T-post here. We're going to go all the way to this corner with the fencing, and then we'll put our compost bins there. So we have one compost bin right now, but we need to get some more. So our compost bins will go there, so that we can give the kitchen scraps to the chickens first, and whatever they don't eat will just go into the compost. And they're back because I've left their yard. They came right out. They're not super thrilled because their water keeps freezing. So this corner here, and with this giant tree stump and this tree here, are the really, really big projects that we're going to need to get done. So those are probably going to hire someone for to get them taken out. This tree is half dying, and when these giant evergreens start going in the wind, they're slightly terrifying, and we're very worried that one of them is going to come down. That's what happened with this one here. Not when we were here, but with the owner before us. So to avoid that and to get more sun to where the garden's going to be, this tree is going to have to come out. So this area that I'm standing in right now is just the other side of the duck house and duck yard, and that's where our garlic is planted behind me. That bed will be moving to the other side of the duck pen where I said we were going to have raised beds for root vegetables, but that can't happen until the garlic's up. So that won't be until like July or August, I can't remember, but sometime in the summer. So it's staying there for a while. But all behind me here, we are going to, I think, put in an in-ground garden, and I'm still kind of torn on if I want primarily in-ground garden or primarily raised bed gardening. I'm still doing research on that because our soil is super clay soil and was grass before we moved here. So it's never been, like, nothing's ever grown in it besides grass. And I know that raised beds would be easier, but also more expensive to put up. So if I can get good results with in-ground gardening, then that's what we're going to do. But either way, kind of like this area behind me that you're seeing here is going to end up being in-ground beans, corn, things like that. So like your bush beans. I want to try growing some corn, and then on this side of the raised bed, so kind of all this area will be in-ground squash and in-ground, some of the melons and things like that will go there. So this area here is where we did the in-ground garden last year, and it was like relatively successful. We probably should have added a lot more organic matter to the soil than we did. And this is originally where I was looking at putting like 3 10 to 12 foot long raised beds, but I've been doing some research about getting soil, like clay soil, fairly fluffy and amended fairly easily, and we might do that instead, but we still have to decide. So either way, there is going to be a garden here, and this is where we'll be growing like peppers and tomatoes and cucumbers and all of the things that are in my giant seed collection. We'll be putting trellises here and doing some vertical gardening as well, which also means that we have to do some trimming of this tree if we don't manage to get it down, but hopefully we'll just get it down and then that won't be an issue. But this will be another big garden component that I will be very excited to plant come spring. So one of the other things that we have to do if I want to have either 10 to 12 foot raised beds or in-ground beds is that this bush behind us has to come out. So it gets tons of tiny little leaves and tons of tiny little flowers, but it only flowers for like a couple weeks, and then the petals on those flowers are like tiny little confetti and they just spread everywhere. So it needs to leave. So that'll be happening when we can dig into the ground, because now the ground is frozen. So that will be happening. That needs to come out. On the other side of that, we have our 3 blueberry bushes that we put in last year. We'll probably add a couple this year, and once that big evergreen over here that we were talking about comes out, we'll probably add some more berry bushes just along that fence line. As well as I want to grow some sunflowers along there. I have some really pretty red ones and some shorter sunflowers that would go that would work really nicely along that fence. So that's probably where those are going. On this other side, so now we're at the house. Behind me, you can see like the gas meter, so we have to be cognizant of that and not block it, because they do come and check that every month or so. But this was all just like hostas, and there's a big, that's a big rose bush, and just kind of lots of plants that I don't really need there. So what we're going to end up doing here is, this is where in between these 2 windows here, we're going to build some like low to the ground cages, and we want to change up how we're doing our breeding for the quail, because right now there's kind of like no rhyme or reason to how they're breeding. All the males and all the females live together, and we aren't breeding for any specific color or egg color or size or any of that. And we want to start doing that because we really enjoy having quail, and we have some colors in our flock that aren't very common around here, and we want to look into selling eggs and day-old chicks. And so to do that, we would like to have colors that no one else around here has. So we're going to look at doing what's called clan breeding. So we'll have 3 different clans that kind of live in this area, which means that this whole area here needs to be cleared out. In that corner by the fence, where the fence meets the house, is my rhubarb plant. So the rhubarb is in a container so that it doesn't take over the entire yard, and it will move back over to next to the quail coop where it lived all summer. But I just wanted to give it a bit more protection from what we thought was going to be a really bad winter, and then didn't get bad until like the middle of January. So it went into that corner, and it has lots and lots of straw on top of it to keep it nice and warm. So this is all coming out. On this side over here, eventually that yew bush in the front of the yard will come out, but it's not super high on the priority list right now. But on this side of the gate, so next to the yew bush, we want to put some elderberry bushes in, because we drink a lot of elderberry syrup, and so we'd like to have our own berries rather than buying them dehydrated already. So I just noticed, if you can see down here, that there is a hole right under our spout. Let's see if I can. So there's that hole that we're probably going to have to deal with, because when we leave our ducks out for too long, they get out. And I'm wondering if that's where, because we can't find any other way other than them just flying over our gate, because this gate is not super tall. As you can see, I'm standing here and you can't see the fence. So I have to go down like this. And so it's like kind of at my waist. So the ducks could probably fly over that if they wanted to. So that's kind of everything that we're planning on doing on this side of the yard, which is not just like everything. There's a lot going on, and we'll see how much we actually get to this year. But now I'm going to go get the puppies, or at least 2 of them. Nero hurt himself, so he is only allowed outside right now on a leash, because they think that he has some sort of pinched nerve or nerve damage in his neck. So he gets really excited when he's running around the yard, and to avoid that and to avoid him re-injuring himself, he has to only come out when he has to go to the bathroom, and he has to be on a leash. So I'm going to go grab the other 2 and show you what we're doing in the dog yard, which is not that much, because we do want that yard to be primarily for them. Say hi to Zipper. These 2 are loving this weather. Nero doesn't love it nearly as much. So he's not super upset that he's on rest right now. He very much is a couch potato, but these 2 don't care. They were out on Saturday with Scott when he was dealing with all the snow, and when the snow turned to rain, they had no issues just staying out here and getting soaked and running around. So thankfully, we do have this yard that they can play in, which they seem to love. And Patch has graduated to balls. Hey puppies. Hi Patch. That's Snow. The ball's over there. Hey Zipper. Patch, your ball's right there. There we go. These two are loving this yard. They don't seem to care whether it's snowing or raining. Patch, sit. Sit. Patch is not great at stopping, whether it is snow, grass, or the kitchen floor. So he wipes out quite a bit, but that's okay. He's doing fine. They were out here with Scott all day Saturday when he was dealing with the snow, and they didn't even care when it turned to rain. They just wanted to be out here, so they got pretty soaked, but they had fun, and then they slept all night long. So the only thing that this side of the yard really has going on is that we have our 2 apple trees, which are dormant and look like sticks in the ground. But, so those are the only trees that we're putting down, like back here. They are safe if the dogs eat the fruit that falls, which is why we were okay putting them here. And they're still they're still a few years away from fruiting anyway, but they're here. They do need some like help with their staking, which we'll do in the spring. But for now, like they are just, we're hoping they're not gonna bud. It looks like they might be trying to a little bit. If you can see like the edge of this one here. But they should be fine. So last year I tried to start up a asparagus and strawberry bed, but this stuff here, which is called motherwort, and is medicinal, so it's not something I would want to eradicate completely. It took over. It was filled this entire bed. The dogs had fun romping through it because this fence is clearly not useful for much. And we had like 3 asparaguses come up. Now they did go to seed, so that was helpful. But not too much grew, and we didn't harvest anything from there, but we weren't expecting to. So I want to expand it this year. Just to go like the whole length of the fence. So it'll be this wide, but all the way down this way and all the way up to this side. Part of that is because we really like strawberries and asparagus, and they, I am told, grow well together. So that will be a good match. And then we'll probably also put some like herbs that can overwinter within that as well, because I don't really want this to be a bed that I have to maintain all that much other than like mulching and stuff. I don't want to be planting it every year because it is going to be quite large, and I'll have enough going on in the garden yard. So this is going to just be kind of perennial plants. So primarily strawberries and asparagus, but if I find anything else that will grow fairly small, it'll go in here as well. And then this bed is going to have a dual purpose, because our dogs like to run the fence with the neighbor dog, and she isn't always liking that. Our dogs don't always like that either. So to, you know, kind of keep everybody happy, we're just going to put a barrier between them and the fence, and we have the added benefit of having an additional space to get to grow food. So that will probably be going in. Now this area kind of all here is our drain field for the septic tank. So we aren't going to be putting T-posts in because we don't know how far over it goes. The plan is to, along this whole length, is to put cinder blocks and put some posts in the cinder blocks and just cement them within the cinder blocks, and then put a fence on those posts. So it'll have to obviously be higher than this one because Zipper over here, Zipper has a like 6-foot jump, like up in the air. She can't necessarily clear something that high, but with practice she just seems to be getting higher and higher. So we do need a fence that's higher than that so that she can't go in, because she does like to go and like find new things and explore, which is fair. so we'll have a decently high fence there. But that's all we're doing in this yard, and we will continue with our digester, which is over in that corner. There's one more thing I forgot to mention that we want to do in this yard, because it's on our house plan, not on our farming plan or our homesteading plan, and that is redoing the fire pit. So this fire pit behind me was here when we got here, and we didn't use it nearly as much as we wanted to last year, but we did use it, and we want to grow the fire pit. So we want to make a bigger fire pit so that we can cook on it, because for Christmas we got a Dutch oven. So they're called spider Dutch ovens, and they have like the feet on them so that you can put coals underneath and on top and cook outside. So we would like to be able to do that, especially because we don't have central air in the house. We do have air conditioning, but it's just window units, and so if we can avoid heating the house up like on the weekends when we're home and we can just let things cook outside, that would be great. And the dogs pretty much stay away from the fire, so that's not really too much of a concern as long as we're out here, obviously. So that's probably it for today. I just wanted to go over all the different things that I've been sitting on the couch and planning out in all of my notebooks and on the computer while it's not so nice out. Because even though this is kind of our first super cold weekend, we've had a lot of rain. Even like 2 weeks ago we had that giant rainstorm, so I've been sitting going through seed catalogs, and doing lots of drawings of what I want to accomplish in this yard, at least eventually. So I thought it would be good to just kind of go and show you all what we're going to end up putting out here, at least our end goals for it. And so that's all we've got. I'm about to head inside because even though it has warmed up all day long, it's still really cold out here, and I need to warm up my toes as well as probably the dog's toes, even though they're not showing any signs of cold yet, but they generally don't. So if you like what you've watched and you like kind of seeing all the things that we're getting up to around here, then click that subscribe button, and we'd love to see you next time.